Allow me to set the stage. It is late 2014. Attack on Titan Season 1 began airing only a few months ago, and still its fandom has laid siege to the internet. You are scrolling through fanfiction.net, looking for titles about your absolute OTP, as Dark Horse by Katy Perry and Pompeii by Bastille play off your clunky little iPod. Unfortunately, you have exhausted your supply, but instead of surrendering and looking at some fics about the other ship, you open up Tumblr and begin to read. Sasha potato memes, Jean horseface memes, and Levite cleaning memes flash by your screen before you stop. Your hands hover over the keyboard as, for the first time, your eyes lock onto him. But how can this be, you ask? Marco's not a Titan shifter, he's dead. But curiosity takes over you, and so, possessed by a need for answers, you search it. You search it all. In this frantic rush, you scrounge across the internet for a solid few minutes, and before your eyes, the first fan theories spring to life and begin to grow into the pillars that would raise the Titan fandom for years to come. Marco Bott is alive. Marco's dead. Sorry to all the fans still holding out hope. His death was confirmed in the main series and is generally considered canon. However, in several spin-offs, Marco actually is alive, so that wasn't completely clickbait, right? Obviously, in Titan's junior high manga and anime, everyone survives, but did you know that there's a specific ending in the Choose Your Path adventure book where you can save Marco, or at least guarantee he makes it through the Tross battle? The Choose Your Path books are so good. In addition, there's also the recap movie Crimson Bow and Arrow, where I heard that Marco's death was cropped out. That was probably only done because of time restraints, since they have to cram over 8 hours of media into only 2 hours of runtime. So if you watch that, then you didn't technically experience his death, which is good. But this rapid justification isn't the only thing that this video is going to be about. No, instead, I'm going to try and shine a light on what the fandom did to Marco, back when Titan was new and a lot more things were up in the air. As it has been memed hundreds of times, Marco was bitten in half by a Titan. A chunk was taken out of his chest, his arm was removed, and half of his face was scraped clean off by giant Titan teeth. The general rule of deciding whether or not a character is dead is usually if you've seen their corpse and someone confirms that it's their corpse, they're dead. So not only was Marco left to rot in the city for a few days, death checked by Jean and an inspector, he was also cremated. So usually the argument would end here, right? Emphasis on usually. Numerous fans theorized that Marco was still alive, and you have to admire their dedication. One of the most popular theories was that this corpse did not belong to Marco, due to the fact that his skin color changed from blood loss and the fact that his freckles weren't apparently visible in the anime. Many people suspected that instead of being our beloved Marco, it was some other tall, dark-haired side character with middle-parted bangs that nobody cares about. Some of these characters included Gustav of Pixis Squad, who only really looked like Marco in the manga, or Samuel, the 104th cadet that was saved by Sasha after he fell off the wall. Many claims about these Marco lookalikes' eye colors and the kinds of shirts they wore under their jackets ended up debunking this theory. Another thing worth mentioning is this doctored GIF that was circling around the internet and leading many people to believe that Marco was still alive. As you can see, his supposedly dead legs are moving slightly. This GIF was edited by the Tumblr user Dithur, who came out 7 years ago and claimed that it was false. Link in the description. It's still a very well-made GIF. Another little detail that the fans latched onto was how, even up until some of the later manga books, Marco would still appear among the other listed characters in the first few pages, only with a big X across his face. This drew considerable attention to him. It was like Isayama was trying to keep Marco in the back of our minds. This didn't end up going anywhere, and in the latest books, he's been removed from the character list. Oh well. But one of the most popular pieces of information that the fans like to use is how close Marco is drawn next to Rainer, Bertolt, and Annie. If you look at some of the manga panel layouts, he sometimes appears beside them, almost as if he's a fourth member of their crew. And, Rainer, Bertolt, and Annie were all Titan shifters, so by that logic, maybe Marco's a Titan shifter. And if that's the case, well, it means maybe the other Marco half that we didn't see was still alive, and it regrew itself another Marco. Like a starfish. This is actually supported by numerous accounts of an interview with Isayama at an event in Japan. And while there is no audio or video, I have found multiple blogs in Japanese detailing the same event, like each person saw it for themselves and wrote it down. Basically, what was happening there was Isayama was answering questions. One fan said, "I love Marco. I was really happy to see him in the Volume 11 flashback," which was just a comment, it wasn't a question. But Isayama took that opportunity to reply with saying that Marco would appear in the future. The fans speculated that this was just going to be a flashback, but they were very excited. And then one of the staff overseeing the event laughed and said, "Well, if Marco appears, will he be a zombie?" And Isayama went with that and said, "Marco might just be a Titan, And thus, the Titan Theory Marco fans rejoiced. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. What Isayama was probably referencing was the scene that happened in chapter 77 or later on in the anime. This is the scene where we learn that Marco accidentally overheard Rainer and Bertolt talking about their Titan forms. He started to try and run away, piecing together that they could very well be the Armored and Colossal Titans, but Rainer, Bertolt, and Annie caught up to him, took his ODM gear, and fed him to a Titan. This was an incredibly violent and on-screen depiction of his death. It left no room for doubt that Marco would, in any way, still be alive. The interesting thing about this scene alone is that, it happened in chapter 77, whereas Marco's death was confirmed all the way back in chapter 18, so almost 60 chapters later and the truth is revealed on screen. I mean, it was implied that Annie killed him since she had his gear, but that's hard to pick up on, especially on a first viewing. It's interesting, the chapter situation, because for a little while there was this rumor going around the fandom that the real reason Isayama made Marco's death so on-screen and explicit was because he wanted to crush the fans who were still holding out hope that Marco was alive. More so than other fandoms, Attack on Titan fans tend to imagine their creator as, well, Satan, chortling from atop a pile of corpses of our favorite characters and the bent remains of our beloved ships. This devil of a man looks down at us as he plots his devilish schemes of suffering and malice. When in reality, Isayama is really just a dedicated, polite man trying his best in the manga industry. I found this interview about the production of Season 2, where he mentions having a manuscript for the stuff that happens outside of the panels of Attack on Titan, the stuff that isn't on camera, so to speak. By the way he describes it, and from the Annie gear foreshadowing we got, it's safe to say this was always intentional, and the rumor, as funny as it is to imagine, was false. Probably. Now this is where the video splits from me discussing things that are planted in canon or come from stuff the author has said, to me diving deep into the fan-made content. A lot of fans like to create AUs, or alternate universes, where Marco is still alive. This is the basis for the multiple injured but not dead AU Marcos. These almost always involve him in the hospital or some kind of rehab with a missing arm and an eye patch. These images are always kinda adorable to me because there's no way slapping a few bandages on would be enough for him, but it's sweet that the fans want to try. But that isn't the only fan depiction of a living Marco. I'm sure you remember that one fan theory involving Marco being a Titan shifter, so let's get back into that. There was a decent amount of content to support this AU if you looked into a few small details. Details that in the end didn't add up to anything, but at the time could have made the AU seem a lot more realistic. But possible or not, it seemed that the fans were really just excited by the prospect of Titan Marco as just a cool AU they could play with. Look up Titan Marco and you'll find some downright gorgeous artwork of him, whether he's protecting Jean, turning back into a human, or just hanging out as a Titan. And you'll notice a similarity with the majority of these pictures. I'm unsure where the first Marco Titan AU sprung up, but most sources date him back to 2015 to 2016. There are multiple depictions of Titan Marco, but as you might have noticed, there is one design in particular that the fandom has adopted. You know, gaps in his cheeks where you can see his teeth and gum, dark eye circles and a few punctures on the ridge of his eyebrows, patches of skinless muscle in spots along his neck and sides, and stripes of sorts going down the shoulders. I wasn't able to find the page for the creator of this design. If I could have, I would have linked it, but many people have credited the user and creator of this Titan design as Gucha X or Guchax. So thank you for this cool creation. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. The Titan Marco community is usually wholesome. In fact, one of the most common names for Marco's Titan is the Gentle Titan, or in some cases the Freckled Titan, which is just kinda adorable. And if you're looking for content involving this sweethearted giant, it almost always includes his friend, Jean. Marco and Jean's relationship is probably the main reason most people have latched onto Marco. They adored the ship. And it wasn't like it was some obscure, impossible thing. These two characters were best friends. In fact, there was a supposed Twitter post from Isayama going around that he had confirmed Marco was gay. I questioned the legitimacy of such a claim because it seems out of character for the real Isayama to announce that just to spite the fans, since this was after Marco was already long dead, but the fandom has mostly considered it a set in stone fact. In fact, when I was first getting into Titan, and I was like 12, my best friend told me, "Hey, look, this is Marco, and this is his boyfriend Jean." And I said, "Is that canon?" And they said, "Yeah, it's canon." It was not canon, but just if you want any idea of how far-reaching this one headcanon was in the fandom. And I'm not saying this ship came out of nowhere. No, Marco had a lot of respect for Jean, and Jean cared a lot about Marco's opinion, so there was a little bit of foundation for the fans to build this ship off of. And who knows where it would have gone if Marco had survived. But he didn't. Anyway, as I was saying, Titan Marco is usually brought up so Jean and Marco can have a lovely little "I thought you were dead! Well, I'm not! Then come over here and give me a hug!" moment. So, all in all, the Titan Marco situation was a thing that came and went. In the latest chapters, there have been a few references to him as a character, which is nice, but Marco is a relic of a simpler time, a character that changed the fandom but never really reached the level of popularity or notoriety he once had. And now, it's time for us to say our goodbyes to this very good lad. Goodbye, Marco. Oh no. So apparently, Titan Marco isn't the only AU where he survives. Great, you might say. More Marco, but you are wrong. This is one of those rare cases where more Marco is worse. I introduce to you Darko. Dark Marco, or Darko for short, or just Evil Marco, is a real actual thing that you can look up. In fact, I checked under the Dark Marco tag on Archive of Our Own, and apparently the first Dark Marco fanfiction was posted in 2013. What? That's a year before the Attack on Titan anime even came out. Hey, that's even before the first chapter of My Hero Academia was released. So, by all logic, Dark Marco came before Villain Deku was even conceived. You're not special, you just have a knife. What even is a Dark Marco? Well, He almost always has an eye patch on the same side where he got part of his face gnawed off, like the injured but not dead AU Marco, but instead of it being cute, it makes him look more sinister. He has a darker color scheme, the warmth in his eyes is drained, and his sweet smile is replaced with either a cold frown or a maniac grin. Surprisingly, he still wears a uniform, so I guess the fans didn't completely hurl themselves at the villain aesthetic of putting him in fancy suits. Unlike some people, personality-wise, Dark Marco can be extremely cruel and violence-loving. He either hates Jean with the passion of Eren Yeager, or he's weirdly fixated on him. I wouldn't recommend looking up the Dark Marco tag on Archive of Our Own unless you're completely okay with seeing a character you like warped in such an evil way. That is a warning. I don't want you seeing anything you regret. Actually, out of the 68 fanfics involving Dark Marco on Archive of Our Own, only about 10 of them were not rated mature. Mature is in explicit for one reason or another, so careful out there, though that's a statistic. On to another thing I noticed with the tags. It's interesting how Titan Marco and Evil Marco tend to work together in the same character. So not all Titan Marco stuff is super wholesome. There are multiple AUs where, in fact, Marco's backstory is that he arrived with the other warriors and was set on destroying Paradis. This, I call, Traitor Marco AU. I have also heard of a couple Evil Marco AUs involving him and Jean being military police brutes. You know, the kind that torture people and silence them and just spread havoc in this borderline totalitarian government. This idea has been passed around a little, so I'm not sure where the source is, but if you see any dark-looking Marcos sporting military police jackets, that's probably what that is. I'm just glad the boys are getting along. I don't know where Dark Marco originated from, but the fanfics are only the tip of the iceberg. There are Ask blogs, roleplay accounts, so much fan art. I really don't think comparing Villain Marco's presence to the insane level of popularity Villain Deku achieved to be that much of an over-exaggeration. It was a community. And that's part of the reason I can't find Dark Marco's origin. There are these ancient character accounts on Insta and Amino with a bunch of beautiful art posted on it, and no sources for any of the pictures. I might not be looking correctly, or maybe it really is just the spirit of Darko, mocking me in my futile efforts of gathering information. So anyway, there probably aren't any more complex AUs involving Marco that I haven't found yet, hopefully, but this was one ride to create. While I can't really call it a down the rabbit hole deep dive, I hope I at least drew your attention to a distant part of the fandom past that isn't as far gone as you'd like to imagine. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more looks into various phenomenons of the fandom, more analyses like the Aru Annie one I did last time, more PMVs set to music, or more spoofs. And until then, I hope you guys have a great day. Don't do anything that would result in you getting cut in half. Okay? Okay. See ya.